We're joined today by Jake Johnson of the Millsap Bulldogs. How are things on Bulldog Lane this morning, Coach?
Man, they're outstanding. Just finished our first week of the Edge this summer, our summer performance program. And, man, we're off to a great start.
All right, so we're now in the summer, which means you've got to see your kids from the end of football season play all the way through all the winter and spring sports and competing other UL activities and in the weight room. And so how'd the spring go there in Millsap?
We had a great spring. Of course, we push all our guys to get out on the track. We push them to do everything. We want them on the court. We want them out on the track. We want them playing baseball. So our kids get out and compete in whatever it is that they do. We had a really good winter and spring. We finished the school year with our performance testing week and just testing our guys at their peak performance, where we can compare where they were back in August or September to May. And very pleased with where we're at right now with our peak output, with what we're capable of doing. And so we spend all summer trying to prepare their body to be able to do that repeatedly.
And so, if you don't mind, kind of walk us through who you lost to graduation, who might step into those roles, who you got back, who might fill new roles. What are you going to look like on the field this fall?
Well, I'll tell you what, we graduated some outstanding leadership. We graduated a two-time All-State offensive lineman and played. Of course, for us, everybody plays both ways. He's going to be some big shoes to fill up front. We have some guys who stepped up in our spring drills that we're excited about. I will tell you this: I think we're going to be a little more athletic up front than we've been in the past. So that's going to be a big question mark for us right now. We graduated our running back, who broke the school rushing record last year, the regular season rushing record, Ryder Oliver. We graduated him. He was obviously a very good performer for us. But we're bringing back another good tailback. We have some other guys who have stepped up throughout the spring. And, the question you just asked is one of my favorite parts about football season. I have grown to love, graduation's bittersweet. You're proud of those guys. You're excited for them to go on. But and of course, as a coach, you're like, all right, man, how are we going to replace him? And you don't ever replace anybody. We don't ever replace anybody. We just reload. And I have grown to love watching what guys are going to step up. And, man, there's always one or two guys out of nowhere that switch flips and they rise up and they have a great senior year. And I can't wait to see that happen again this year.
Follow up a little bit on that. You talked about, you don't replace someone, and that's true. The next kid may play that role, it may have a little bit of different talents, a little bit different strengths, a little bit different weaknesses. How much do you change your X's and O's or your strategy on the field year to year or over the years based on the strengths and weaknesses of your players?
That's a great question. And really, to be honest with you, I'm a big believer in, first of all, I don't want to make it harder than it is. If you got a kid that can play, you get him the ball in space and you let him go to work, right? So what's offensively, what's the best way for us to achieve that? To get our ball to the playmakers and let them go to work. Our base, what we do, if we look at offensively or defensively, our standard is our standard. What we do is what we do. Now, having said that, when I coach collegiately, you can go recruit the guys that you want to fit your system. Well, obviously we can't do that. And in a small 3A school, you really can't do that. But we can add some smoke and mirrors to stuff to still be able to do our base concepts. But sometimes it may just look a different way. So we don't have a whole lot of concepts We just sometimes dress them up and do them in different ways. And so we try to get good at our concepts, good at what we do. And then for individuals, just like, we're working our football skills throughout the summer with that little bit of time the UIL gave us a couple of years ago. We have steps for everything. Everybody has a read, an assignment, a key, a step. However, I don't overcoach it. If a kid is more comfortable, if he can play faster, if he's following our standard and what we want to do, and his steps might be a hair different, that may be, like you said, every kid's different. Every kid's different and brings different stuff to the table. And we have standards, we have parameters, we have guidelines, but then I want my guys to grow into it and let them go and play with the abilities the good Lord's given them.
All right. Now, if you don't mind, kind of walk us through 5-3A D2, your competition, and what you think you're going to see from them on the field this fall.
Man, our district, it is an absolute dogfight every week. It has been for quite a while now. There are some tremendously talented teams, athletes. I think every team in our district is very well coached. I have a lot of respect for those men and their programs. I think going into the season, there's probably a couple teams that would be picked as favorites based upon how much they brought back. But I personally see it as every week is going to be a battle. It doesn't matter who's playing who. Every week, you better have your I's dotted and T's crossed, because you could go 5-0 or 0-5 or anywhere in between. It is definitely a very competitive district from top to bottom.
Now, so your Bulldogs, 7-on-7 Bulldogs, qualified
Yes.
for Texas 7-on-7 state. Kind of walk us through from two perspectives what 7-on-7 means to you, and that being both from an X's and O's reps perspective and just from a team cohesiveness perspective.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to tell you, my perspective on 7-on-7 may be different than some others. I came to Texas. I was at coaching out of state, and in other states, coaches are allowed to coach their 7-on-7 all throughout the spring, summer, whatever. I mean, you're there with your kids coaching them. You can call plays the whole nine. My favorite part, and what I feel is the most beneficial part of 7-on-7, is the fact that I don't get to coach it. I don't ever want that to change. I know some guys want to be able to coach it, and of course there's times where you'd love to call a play, but I don't want to coach it because I believe the most beneficial aspect of it is the kids have to do it themselves. They have to learn how to work together. I don't have a dad, or we have a adult on the sideline there for state, but they're not calling plays. The athletes are calling their own coverages, their own plays. They're making their own subs. They're learning to be, like you said, that cohesiveness. They're learning to work together, and what a great time I'd rather them do that in June than wait and do that in September. And so, when they get down there to College Station, just like last year, they're going to be put in adverse situations. There's going to be things are going to go good, things are going to go bad, and everything in between. And they have to learn how to work through that without me yelling at them, without a coach telling them what to do. And that right there, head and shoulders, that is the main reason we do 7-on-7. You could sit here and argue all day. Well, it's good for this, bad for that. And it's kind of who has the marker last, right? That's really not an argument you win or lose. There's so many different opinions. I do think it does help with some of your timing and whatnot. Defensively, I think it does teach bad habits to some degree, but that's not why we do it. That's a byproduct of it. The main reason we do it is, like I said, our kids have to learn to rely on each other and not us. And on Friday night, each other's all they got when the ball snapped. So that is my answer.
All right. Very good, Coach. So You mentioned, you coached at college level, you coached out of state. Now you're in Texas. What would you say is the biggest challenge currently facing high school athletics in Texas?
There's a lot of buzz right now about the vouchers and so on and so forth, and I guess one could make the argument for that. I don't necessarily know that that's what I feel is the biggest threat. I personally think the biggest threat, or one of the biggest issues we face, is the amount of coaches that are leaving the profession and being able to bring in quality candidates. And by quality candidate, I mean men that are called to lead young men and impact and inspire and mold people, not just do it for a job, because you know as well as I do, if you're just coaching for a paycheck, you're not going to make it. You're certainly not. You're going to impact lives, but not in the way you want to impact them. And I think that's one of the biggest issues we face. And there's a lot that goes into that creates that. But man, that's something that I'm seeing as an athletic director, as I'm hiring coaches for all sports across the board. The amount of applicants that I get now as compared to 5-6 years ago, it is drastically different. Drastically.
All right. So let's go from kind of big, heavy picture to smaller, maybe a little more fun. Learn a little bit about Jake Johnson. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
I don't know, man. Oh man. I guess something that nobody knows about me and would never guess is that I will sit there and I will watch SpongeBob SquarePants with my daughter because she loves it. And I told her, I said, well, of all the things you could be watching, that's actually okay. So I'll sit there and watch that with her. So I guess if there's one, that might be it.
Yeah, that cartoon as well as some others definitely may have officially target children, but there are things in there that only adults will understand.
Yes, as I've come to find out. My goodness. But no, I'll tell you, man, I'm thankful for every day that I get to be at, especially after, being diagnosed with leukemia back in January or early February. Boy, I mean, I always counted it a blessing to be here, but more so than ever. Every day I get to be around these young men, young women, these coaches, the school. It is an absolute blessing just to walk in the door and be able to coach. An absolute blessing.
Well, thanks very much for your time today, Coach. Best of luck as you work through the summer and head into the 23 season.
Hey, thank you, man. And will you be down at College Station?
I will.
Good. I look forward to coming and shaking your hand again.
Yeah, well, I plan on being in the exact same spot.
All right. I'll be seeing you then.
For our YouTube viewers, if you like this video, hit the like button down below. It really helps with the algorithm on YouTube and gets this video in front of more eyes so that more people can see the video. If you like what we're doing with this video series, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, and you'll get a notification every time we post a new video.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.